Hello and welcome to my first streaming of something that I like to call Terraria Talks. It's just a little thing that I like to do where as I play Terraria, since it's a game that I don't have to put too much focus on, I like to talk about my opinions on various topics. And in today's topic, I'd like to talk about, well, I'm a member of this page called Atheist Republic, and one of the questions that they had in their status is like, what should the age of consent laws be in the country that you live at? And I live in the USA, so the federal consent law for the United States is 16, and in most states it's 16, and in other states the minimum age of consent is 18. Some is 17, but Arkansas, or as I like to call the pedophile state, their age of consent is freaking 14. That is so weird. And even in my home state of South Carolina, the lowest age of consent is 14, but they have like they kind of like have like a special specifications with that one. Like if you're 14, you could only have sex with someone who's under 18, but if you're 16, then all is fair game. It's, well, as far as my opinion on the matter, when it comes to the whole talk with sex and consent laws in general, for me the important thing is not so much as how old the person is, unless they're under 16 of course, but making sure that they're educated and knowing the risks that are involved when it comes to things like sex and whatnot. It's about ensuring that they know about what they're getting into, because I feel like just like with things like driving, which takes a great deal of responsibility and education, and holding a part-time job, I think when it comes to a person's body, they should be allowed to make decisions on that. Now, I'm not saying that a 14-year-old or younger girl should not saying that I condone a 14-year-old going out to have sex, but at the end of the day, teenagers are very curious. I say the important thing are going to be curious about sex. That's just in their nature, and the more you try to keep them from it, the more curious they're going to be. I'm saying that the least we could try to do is to make sure that they are educated and that they are able to do so safely. That's my stance on the matter. I mean, hypothetically speaking, if I had a daughter or a son and they were to engage in sexual activity, I mean, of course they're going to do it anyway. They're curious about it enough. I'm going to at least make sure that they could do it safely with no long-term consequences and stuff like that. That's my stance on the matter. Because they say strict parents create rebellious kids. Well, that's my stance as far as consent laws are concerned. With that being said, I think the minimum age should just stay at 16. I mean, sure, I understand that a 16-year-old isn't cognitively developed enough to make critical judgment, but if they're able to drive freaking cars, and 2 years later they're able to sign their life away to the military-industrial complex, aka join the military, and I think they should be able to make decisions that regards their own biology, you know? Just as long as they understand what they're getting into, and just as long as they're able to do it safely. That's all I care about. That's my stance on the matter, on that one. Some may find my opinion as controversial, but it's whatever. Because my opinion isn't really based on feelings and emotions and what's appropriate and stuff like that. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who likes to look into things and make my opinion, inform my opinions based on the knowledge I've gained from my research, and in the end, that's what matters to me, knowing the facts. I really hate the rain. Even in video games, I can't stand the rain. Maybe I should just stay around here until it stops. Okay, maybe I shouldn't fly too high either, but I was really hoping to look for a Martian probe. Maybe if I go to space, the rain will stop. Because the rain is just too damn loud in this game. Wonder if I could... Well, I guess I just have to wait until the game decides that it wants to stop. Ooh, blink root grows up here. That's pretty freaking cool. Got my pew-pew. I guess it's quiet enough up here. I can't do anything about the rain anyway, so screw it. I keep missing him. Screw it, I'll just have a weapon do the aiming for me. Much better. Maybe I'll encounter a Martian probe. The important thing for me is to not kill it. I love giving opinions on controversial matters because it creates a conversation. At the very least. I do understand that the things I do understand that a lot of things that I think and say people aren't sure to agree with, and that just doesn't really matter to me. I just like making an informed opinion about stuff. It has nothing to do with the fact that I, you know, actually care too much about it. No Martian probe. What other controversial thing can I talk about? I don't know. I don't like to talk about too many stuff at once. Oh, looks like I've done away with my blink root. I'll just make some later. I guess another thing I could talk about is negative and as to what people refer to as negative and positive energy. That's another thing that seems to really get under my skin. You know, people like to think that just because I like to talk or say certain things that I'm by nature a negative person. No, I'm just a person who's honest about my mood and emotions. And it doesn't help and due to the fact that I have clinical depression, which will always means that I will have a low mood, but at the very least more often than not. I was diagnosed back in November of 2015. I'm going to always be in a low mood. I'm always going to be negative. I'm not going to be happy when you want me to. Sorry, but that's not how emotions work. Technically, you cannot choose to be happy. There's really no such thing, considering the fact that emotions are actually controlled by a region of the brain that responds to outside stimuli. So the thought that is provoked by the outside stimuli is what determines the emotion. And I do feel like that is wrong to try to, in a way, stigmatize people for something that they cannot help. And I think that, in turn, is negative. Allowing people to telling people that they cannot be, in a way, you're telling people that they're not allowed to be honest about their emotions is, in a way, negative. It's restricting people from a natural physiological process of having emotions. Anything like that is negative by default in my book. Rather than telling someone to stop being negative, try actually asking them what's wrong. Or something like that. Ask them how their day's been. Why do they think the way they do? Maybe they just need a vent or talk and need a listening ear. Oh, still no Martian Probe. To demonize people on the basis that they're quote-unquote negative is just so freaking ridiculous. I can never wrap my mind around that. Someone could be deeply concerned about something that affects them in a big way, and they're not allowed to talk about it because your fragile, egotistical ass don't want to hear, as you quote, negativity. You're a pathetic life form in my book. Then again, I think usually pretentious people do some shit like that anyways. A person who truly understands emotion will not act that way. I still don't see a Martian probe. Still no Martian probe. Wonder if I'm doing something wrong. I can't seem to get it to spawn. can't really think of anything else to talk about right now. Of course, the first two things I wanted to talk about because they've been on my mind. In fact, there are a lot of things on my mind that I'd like to talk about. I just can't remember them right now. Maybe I should consider making a list. I guess another thing I could talk about is another thing that really bothers me. Another thing that really gets on my nerves is I think tribalism. Well, more specifically in the instance of dating, because at least I would get it a considerable amount of times. I'm not sure about a lot of other people, but I do know that, you know, me myself, I get it a good amount of times where, because my girlfriend is of a different race, members of my own race tell me things that I'm selling out and stuff like that, when, you know, personally, that's not how romantic attraction works. I don't understand. I can never fathom that the concept of just because I'm not dating someone who is my race and I'm selling out my race. It doesn't make sense, because when it comes to romantic and sexual preferences, a person cannot help what they're attracted to. So to say something like that is really fucking stupid and ignorant. As far as preferences go, I would date a woman. I mean, race isn't a factor when it comes to dating preference for me. It just so happens that my current girlfriend is Asian. And that's all there is to it. I mean, if it wouldn't have made a difference if she was black, white, Asian, Hispanic, East Indian. It's the fact that, you know, I'm in love with her and I'm happy with her. But, you know, I hear it a lot from black people. I hear it a lot more from black people, and others' experiences may vary, but from my experience, it seems that, I mean, well, I hear it mainly in cases of, like, black guys wanting to date white girls and stuff like that. Or vice versa. But this idea that a lot of them have when they say stuff like, you know, you should, as black men, you should be prepping up your black women, you should be putting them on the pedestal. And it's like, okay, but I mean, I encourage black women. I definitely do that. I encourage them to, you know, rise above the social norms and what is expected of their demographic. I mean, isn't what I'm doing enough? I have to actually date them as well, even though I may not be attracted to the black woman in question? What kind of shit is that? I find it to be really fucking stupid when people say shit like that. I'm not a huge fan of tribalism. That fierce loyalty to people of my own demographic is something I just can't get behind, due to the fact that I don't judge a person's... I mean, my loyalty of a person is determined by the color of their skin. It's how much they respect me and how close of a bond I can make with them, and that's all there is to it. Oh, it's just a weaver. Thought it was something else. I was disappointed. I really think people should get over their tribalism. And there's still no Martian Probe. I guess I can end Terraria Talks right here. So I'm just going to end it here, and I'll be able to talk again next time, perhaps.